Hello, I'm Dan, sitting in this room talking into my phone about comics yet again, for anyone who cares, or for me, but let's do this. So, I have new comics, a large bag of them. Came out yesterday. It was a very nice pickup week. A lot of good new comics out. And there's a few things from last week, one of which is awesome, and we will definitely talk about that. I also thought I could show off some of the things that I've read in the last week or two. Some of this I classify in the category of new comics, even though some of them aren't super new. So I thought I would also maybe include a little bit of a little bit of information for you about some of my reading habits for anyone who cares. But I did want to start out and just say what's up to Mr. Sleepy Reader, aka Damien, because he's been a very big supporter of this ever since I started, one of the influences for me starting this channel, and he also was the first person to go buy a comic because I showed it in a video. He went and tracked down that House on the Borderlands by Richard Corbin because he was interested in getting it from my video. Of course, he loves Corbin as well. So that was really cool. I've bought so many comics based on YouTube videos and people's recommendations that I never thought that would happen to me, where someone watched something I did and went out and got it. So I guess that's kind of part of the point of doing it. We all share information and passions. I have a lot of great things to share. I mean, I don't really know where to go with the collection and showing it off, but I might do like a collection tour video or series of some kind at some point. I also have some ideas for some specific videos I do want to do. I just have not had the time to actually devote to that yet, but coming soon. All right, so let's get to this new stuff first. That's what I think a lot of people like to see, is haul type videos. So last week was the last Wednesday of October. So because it was like the 5th week in the month, it was super meager. There was really only one thing that was coming out that I was interested in getting, and I called the shop in the morning and just said, hey, could you just pull a copy of that for me? Because I don't know if I'm actually going to come. But I have this tradition. I go on my lunch break every Wednesday to the comic book store, and I kind of look forward to that. And it's part of my weekly routine, helps you get through the week, gives you something to look forward to. I also needed some more boxes, so they had some used boxes that I grabbed. Also, the previous week was the Halloween Comic Fest event, which I guess has been relabeled Trick or Read. And for my comic shop does it kind of the same way that they do it for Free Comic Book Day, where, well, at least on Free Comic Book Day, you get one free comic when you go in, and then for every $10 you spend, you get an additional free comic, and you get a raffle prize or raffle ticket for every free comic book you get. So you can gain a lot of raffle prize tickets, and I've won the raffle prize many times. It's pretty awesome. So for every $10 you spend the whole previous week, you get a ticket for this too. So, I go into Free Comic Book Day with usually maybe 5 or 6 tickets from spending 50 or 60 bucks the previous Wednesday. And then I buy more stuff, get more tickets, and that's how that works. With this Halloween Comic Fest thing, I had spent over $50 the previous week, so I had a ticket for 5 free comics, and I went in and they were like, we still have them. I was like, all right, great. And there was almost nothing that appealed to me at all. In fact, they just had the Trick or Read free comics on a shelf with a whole bunch of past years Free Comic Book Day books. So I ended up just getting some of those. First one I grabbed from that was this Godzilla Fantastic Four. Don't collect Fantastic Four modern comics. I have some of the old Kirby stuff in reprints, but I do like Godzilla, and this is JR art. There's a free comic. There's a dragon, King Ghidorah. So we'll see how this goes. Not too excited about it. I think I already have a Venom Lethal Protector. I'm not a hardcore Venom fan or anything, but it's just the best of what they had. I might just give this to somebody else, one of my students. They did have a trick-or-read comic directed for kids. That's called Hollowed Hauntings from Top Shelf. And this caught my eye more than the other stuff that they had on there. And it's got some cool looking line art on this first one. It's a very cartoony second story in the middle here. Pretty okay. Oh, this is the one I think that appealed to me. Right here, this black and white story. Yeah, More Weight by Ben Wiki. It even has a little blurb by Alan Moore. So that art looks pretty great. And this, it's an excerpt from something. It's like a bunch of little talking heads. But the art does look good. And that guy looks pretty sweet. We'll see how that is. And then these other two, I just were like, huh, what's this? Free Comic Book Day 2014 V-Wars from IDW. I think I caught my attention because it has a Kevin Eastman cover. So, no idea. It's probably something to do with vampires. It's fairly bland, but who knows? Well, there's that. Yeah, you got me there. And last but not least on the free books was a 2017 Summer Blast sampler of Kaboom Boombox. Oh, that's Archaea, bunch of kids stuff. But look, it's got, I think this is Musgard or something. I've never read any of that, but it's beautiful art. That looks really nice. So, the one surprise was there was a comic in my pull box that I had never even heard of, and I love when this happens. Michelle at my comic book store just knows my taste, and it's the greatest thing when you have a store like that. See, I'm not up on social media or anything like that. I don't have any social media. I don't follow new releases. I used to look on just like the day before new comics come out, I would look on the previews website to see what was new. So I would miss out on a lot of things, I'm sure, that I would have liked, but I don't know. I just don't have a whole lot of time to devote to looking into new stuff coming out. I sometimes rely on YouTubers to help me, but when something new is coming out that she knows I would want, she just orders it for me. So this Robo Wolf #2 by Jake Smith was in my box. I was like, dude, this is a cartoonist I do like from his work on that Godzilla book. And you flip it open and you're like, yep, that's something I would like. And sweet alien swampy monster creatures. Some chainsaws. I haven't read this yet. So this is the weird thing. It's #2. Never heard of it before. Look at that double splash right there. And I need #1 now. So I asked her to try to order me one. If not, I'm sure it's readily available on the old internet. But that was cool. And then the comic I went in specifically to get that I had them hold is the obvious one from last week, Absolute Batman Annual. So we're going to get into this. Just hold on a second. Let's go through this massive stack from yesterday. It's really annoying when like one week comes out and there's like one thing that I was going to get, and then the next week it's just this big old stack. I mean, I'm not complaining about getting sweet comics, but it was a little overwhelming. So I haven't looked into any of these at all yet. I haven't read any of them. They just got them yesterday. But here is one of the cooler things. This is an Ice Cream Man Mortal Coil Shuffle, a comic book in 55 playing cards. We're going to bust this out right here and see what's up. So I actually watched my shop owner open a copy for himself in the store, and I just peeked over his shoulder at what it looked like. But supposedly this is never going to be reprinted and never going to be collected in any kind of trade. It's Ice Cream Man. You guys know this. It's one of the best series out around. And it's really, really good comic. And has anyone ever done a comic book as a set of playing cards before? I don't think so. So instructions, helpful guide to reading this comic book. That's right. This might look like a deck of cards, but it is in fact a comic book. It is a story to be read. It is not a game to be played. To correctly experience the story, read the cards in order, starting with card 1 and ending with card 55. They come packaged in sequence and are also numbered for your convenience. Do not shuffle the cards. Please do enjoy this comic book presented as 55 playing cards. Thank you for reading. That is kind of awesome. Ice Cream Man is so creative. So there's the story and the imagery. Some of them straight up are made to look like magic cards. There's like one that looks like a business card in there. It's all, I'm sure, ties in to this story. I'm just gonna flip to the middle. Here's one that looks like a debit card. Here's one that looks like a playing card from a board game, but most of them look like that. Looks like that might be the Ice Cream Man right there. Anyone unfamiliar with Ice Cream Man, just get it. It's amazing. I've been getting it since the first issue. It's just a really, really creative series. Honestly, I kind of feel like they almost might have backed themselves into a corner with it, because it started out just kind of like cool anthology comic or, you know, single story, one-shot type thing with this Ice Cream Man that makes things evil. But they very soon adopted this extremely creative way of making every issue some special, weird way of telling a story, some unique meta concept or something. And now that they've been doing that so long, I feel like they have to keep upping the ante with every issue, or they're going to feel like they're letting themselves down or letting their fans down. So I just don't know that they'll ever be able to just put out regular old comics and just have them be comics. They have to be something unique, which is really, really cool. So let's blast through this stack. I'm not going to open everything up. Here's Void Rivals. I have been getting this since it came out. I don't get all the EU Energon stuff, but I get Void Rivals and I get Transformers. This is I've been getting the regular covers for this, but I couldn't resist this one because it just reminds me of being a kid. The Youngblood homage, Assorted Crisis Events. Number 6. This is a really good series. Also, like Ice Cream Man in the sense that it's all standalone stories in every issue. Second issue of Planet Death from Bad Idea. They had pulled me the other cover, but I kind of like that one better. It's got more bloody axes and body parts on it, so sold me on that. Here's another one that they knew I would want this. I didn't even know it was coming out. My ear is not to the streets, but there it is. Robert Crumb, Tales of Paranoia by Fantagraphics. Let's take a look into this wonderful comic. So I love underground comics. I have a lot of them, and I love R. Crumb. He's not my favorite guy ever. This looks real wordy, but I mean, come on, the guy is 80 or over 80 maybe, and he's still doing this, and that's just incredibly awesome. He started the whole, in earnest, started the whole underground movement. Look at that's a great image. His art has not gone down in any way. I mean, he's still just shredding the cross-hatching. It's insane that cross-hatching. But, I'm not super excited about reading that. But, had to get it. Alright, here's the Skin Police 2, next issue. I think it's the second to last one, issue 3. Check out my Skin Police video if you want to know more about that series. Minor Arcana. Minor Arcana. Number 11. That's Jeff Lemire. And unfortunately, he doesn't draw it anymore. Different artist took over, but digging it. The next, Huck. It's probably the last one, number 6. Yeah. Dude, what is going on with this? $6.99? Don't get me started. Don't get me started about Mark Millar's strategies. I'm going to talk about Mark Millar in a little bit, and I'll explain a little bit more about my interests in him. Booyah! Orphan and the Five Beasts, Bath of Blood, number 2. James Stokoe. Really, really good. everything he does is so good. He's absolutely one of my favorites. I've been organizing my, well, not organizing my boxes, but I've been archiving them in a CLZ app. I never had that before, just until recently I got it, and been going through and scanning everything, and came across a sweet, probably fairly unknown James Stokoe comic that I will probably make a video on soon. There's the next Wild Animals. I think this is the last issue of that series. Another Mark Millar, Nemesis Forever, number 3. We've got Space Scouts. This looks pretty sweet. So this is Matt Kindt and then David Rubin. Some people might say Rubin. There's an accent over the I. I know. It's got to be Rubin. It's got to be Rubin. I had to get that Sergio Aragonés variant. Whoa. Looks awesome. I love Sergio Aragonés. So this will probably be like 3 or 4 issues, I'm guessing. And David Rubin's art is always awesome. You know, he did a lot of stuff with Matt Kindt and Jeff Lemire. He's done some Black Hammer stuff. He's done a whole bunch of stuff. What was that? This was... He did this book right here. Cosmic Detective with Matt Kindt and Jeff Lemire. This was a really good book. This is a hardcover. I think this is the crowdfunded version. So that should be pretty cool. Ether is another series he did that was with Matt Kindt. It's a really great series. Three separate miniseries. Then the last one I got was The Savage Sword of Conan, number 11. This is Liam Sharp in the interiors on most of this comic. So I haven't been getting all these new Savage Sword of Conans, just a few of them. Just if the artist looks dope, then I pick it up. So, oh yeah, and then I already showed that, but my shop owner had given me that Crystar Danzig skull. Look at that. Lovely. So, I buy a lot of new comics, and I do read a lot of new comics. 50% of what I read every week is new comics. But if I only read the new comics I purchase, I don't feel like I would ever give any credit to this awesome collection of old comics and back issues and long runs of stuff I have that take time to get through, you know? So what I do is I kind of bounce back and forth between, like, I'll read a new current comic, and then I'll read something from another category of my collection. So for example, a category could be like an ongoing long run. I have long boxes full of Ghost Rider and Swamp Thing and Hellblazer and Batman and stuff like that. So I look for, like I'll find the place where I had stopped reading a longer run, and I'll grab out a stack of those. And so I'll switch between a new comic and one of those, and I'll read a chunk of that. And then I'll grab out some mini series from a box, and I'll be like, oh, I haven't read this mini series before. So I'll read a new comic, then I'll read a first issue of that, and I'll read a new comic, I'll read the next issue of that. I cycle through stuff like that. So I'll get out some kind of older comic. One that I've been reading lately. So I have a lot of stuff in the works that I'm still like working on, but a lot of times it's shorter stories like this America at War. This is a Best of DC War Comics. This is a cool anthology that came out in the late 70s. Fireside put this out. And it spans all the decades from the 40s through the 70s. 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And it's just reprints of war comics from DC with a lot of really great artists, a lot of really great stories in here. And one of the cool things about this is the coloring is fantastic on it. So it's still the Ben-Day dots and the CMYK printing, colored printing, but on crisp white paper. Now, I do prefer the newsprint, and yeah, it doesn't smell good. It's unfortunate, but the coloring on this is like what that old coloring would have looked like if they had put it on better paper. So you get to see it just like it was back then. I'm assuming. I don't think they would changed and recolored stuff and like done all the color steps again. So anyway, sorry, tangent. Okay, so I bounce between stuff like that. And because of that, I can't necessarily read all of the new comics as they're coming out. And so what I kind of do is I have a chunk of series that are like ongoing things where I read them every month no matter what. So some of the comics in that category would be like Ice Cream Man, Something's Killing the Children, Geiger, Transformers, Void Rivals, a handful of more, and it changes as the series go on. But I read those ones as they come out. Some things I'll buy because I absolutely love the artist or I absolutely love the writer. I know I'm gonna like it, so I'm not too concerned with letting them build up in the box and then reading it later on because I just know I'm gonna like it. And then there's the things you take a gamble on, where you buy something, you don't know if you're gonna really enjoy it, and you read the first issue, of course. You don't want to start buying a bunch of issues of something if you've never read the first issue and you don't know anything about it. So you read the first issue, and if it catches my interest pretty good, I'll buy the rest of the series. And these are always like a mini series. I don't let this go on for like a big long series. Unless I'm totally familiar with the writer or the artist, I don't do that. So I'll buy the mini series and I might sit there for a while and I'll finally get around to reading it. And I've got it down pretty well. I feel like at least 19 out of 20 times, I like it. There's occasionally one that comes up as a dud. So, since I talked about the duds, here's the one that was a dud that I read recently. This is Calavera PI from Oni. It's just a 4-issue series. It's all written and drawn by one person, Marco Finnegan. And I did like the first issue. It's got some promise to it. And so I read the first issue, and then I got the rest of them, and I finally just got around to reading it. This isn't too old. Bust it out and you can see. But the first issue, still good. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then started reading the rest, and it's like, ugh, this is actually not that good. It's just the story doesn't really go anywhere, and the art's actually not that great. So, you got your detective with a skull. That seems pretty rad. It's November 24, so it's like a year old. So it's on uncoated paper. That is, the paper itself is colored to look like the old newsprint color, and it has just flat colors, and the story was intriguing. This guy is a detective, and he's investigating a human smuggling ring in 1930s Los Angeles. So the story was cool. You can see there's some like demonic stuff going on in here in the first issue, and it leaves off on a pretty cool cliffhanger. The main character dies, and then she goes to visit him at his grave, and he's back from the dead already with a skull head. But it just floated along and didn't do anything. There was no really solid plot that went through the whole thing. It was just lame. And as it went on, the art got more and more you could tell there's very little backgrounds, and when there is backgrounds, you can just tell it is all photographs doctored with Photoshop. They also do this thing, that they do a lot nowadays, where they'll put this weird effect on the coloring that makes it look like a worn out old comic. So it's like on every panel has this kind of like worn out look to it. Anyway, let's move on to some stuff that was good. This was the only stinker in the bunch, and like I said, this doesn't happen very often. It wasn't terrible. It's just, could have better spent the money elsewhere. Let's go on to the one that just came out that is fucking amazing. So, I like Batman a lot. I don't collect Batman these days. I've never actually really collected in any ongoing Batman series. When I didn't grow up reading DC and Marvel comics, really. So I got into them later on. Batman always appealed to me. So most of what I've collected in the various long boxes of Batman I have is 80s and 90s Batman, mostly 80s and early 90s. Before the Nightfall and all that stuff. And then it's Legends of the Dark Knight. Then I've got a bunch of old Brave and the Bolds and World's Finest and stuff. And I have a buttload of miniseries and one-shots and stuff. So I don't buy a lot of Batman, but once in a while a Batman miniseries will come out, or a one-shot, or something that just looks too good to pass up. And I've heard about this for months, and I love Daniel Warren Johnson. I knew he was doing the art on this. I'm not going to go into this great big spiel about it, because there have been plenty of YouTubers already, I'm sure, that have done this. I've already watched 2 videos by people who glowingly raved about it. So all I'm going to say is you definitely want this comic. I only got the first issue of Absolute Batman, and I only bought I think it's like the 7th printing, because it had a really sweet Jay Lee cover, and I'm like, all right, they're up to 7 printings. I better give this a shot. And it was all right. But this comic, which does have some meaningful story to it, is mostly just an insane fight where Batman whoops the shit out of a bunch of white supremacists, which is absolutely satisfying beyond belief. It's an extremely good story. He wants to help these people in this homeless camp because they are being threatened by these terrible white supremacists who start out with these pig masks. And there's been, from what I've heard, a lot of controversy about the violence. You know, here he is punching this guy's face in, and it obviously looks like he's like crushed the dude's skull. It's cartoon violence. What are you going to do about it? It's when I was reading this, I was thinking, wow, Batman's killing all kinds of people. And it's left open for you to decide does he kill them or does he not? Does it really matter? No. Do I want him to kill people? Yeah, I kind of do. Especially these people. They're freaking white supremacists. And everyone shows this off on their videos, so I'll just show it too. You cannot fuck with this sequence. Dude with a Negan bat, you know, he's got his barbed wire bat. He goes in this homeless encampment, and he is taking out these innocent people like the sick piece of shit that he is. Sad Mexican family crying. He's going ape shit. He's about to just lay loose with a white power. And he puts his arm up in the air like that, and then you flip the page for Batman to make his first appearance, and just boom, cracks that guy's arm right in half. Hell yeah. Double page splash, arm breakage, really cartoony, really great art. That is so epic. And he's just like pile driving people and caving in faces. It comes in with a flamethrower later. So yeah, I'll just flip around. I won't spoil it. There's extremely cool splash pages galore. There's this. You're like, I don't even know what that is. Is that a building he's looking at? It's supposedly this new Batmobile. That is the most ridiculously huge truck you've ever seen. You see him up there? You see that guy down there? Like, that is like the size of a small building that he's driving in. I mean, it is a building. It's got stairs and everything. Those are real trucks. I think they're like land moving trucks. So it's just absolutely great. The story that you have, your framing sequence is great, but the action's awesome. And it just makes you wish that there was more stuff like this where you can just get an issue of a comic. It's one and done. It's absolutely fantastic in every way. And then we got our man James Heron on the second story here. And the videos I've watched, people are, you know, obviously glowing over the Daniel Warren Johnson story more because, yes, it's better, but this is still good. It's not quite as exciting, and it's a slower moving tale. You've got some unique stuff with his cape. His cape does a lot of stuff like life, like it's alive and has a mind of its own. So sort of like Spawn's cape, I guess, would have been. But the story is about these thug criminal crook dudes that wear these little skull masks, and they break into this house, and it's this guy's house. It's the dad of one of the robbers, and he knows it's his son doing it. So that's, you know, kind of where the main story lies. He's robbing his own father, and this one bad guy gets all jacked up on some kind of crazy drugs, and he's going all psycho. And you know, James Herron's art's awesome too. Look at that. So I brought out a James Herron book to show you some really good James Herron. I'm not going to go flipping through it all, but, you know, just because this isn't as great as Daniel Warren Johnson's story does not mean you shouldn't totally read it and enjoy it. In fact, I have heard Daniel Warren Johnson in interviews talk about how he would have no career if it wasn't for James Herron. Even though they're contemporaries, he feels like James Herron had a big part in helping him get his start and influencing his art style. So that's really cool that they got to collaborate together on this book. So here's the James Herron comic, and this is an example of one that I didn't know much about, and I just took a gamble on it and bought the first issue, read it, liked it, totally dug the art, and collected the whole thing. Well, I didn't collect the whole thing without reading it. I read the first one, and then I got the next three. That's your Ian Bertram variant. If you couldn't tell by all the little wormy things. So these first 4 issues came out, and then it took a really long time for the next 5 issues to come out. That's a Paul Pope variant. That's so badass. Oh, dang, that glare is not good. So what I can say about this series, if you haven't checked it out and you're curious about it, is the art is ridiculously good. The story starts out pretty cool and pretty easy to follow, but on these later issues, it gets extremely hard to keep track of really what's going on. There are large sequences, though, where there's just no dialogue, and it's just incredible visuals. This is a comic you buy to look at the art. I mean, there's a story there. It's a fine story. It's not why you buy this comic, though. So I buy comics for incredible art like this series, and I buy comics because they have great stories, and then hopefully buy comics that have both. And here's one that I can show you that's further illustrating what I have picked up on a whim, read one issue, liked it, and then just started getting it and not reading it, and it was absolutely pleased beyond belief. I won't show all the issues of it, but I'll just grab out a stack. This is called What's the Furthest Place from Here? Tyler Boss, I believe, is the artist. Matthew Rosenberg is the writer. Holy shit, this is a great comic. Not to mention, it's extremely thick issues. I can't try to explain this whole comic to you. It's very complicated, but man, I wish I was better at this. The weird society that still exists in the world after some kind of post-apocalyptic type of scenario involves these different factions of mostly younger kids that are trying to survive, and there's these people that like bring food and leave it out for them, and they have to follow these certain rules in order to stay part of their network. And there's forbidden places that they're not supposed to go, and they're not supposed to venture out of their place, but they have to for a specific reason, and they come across people from these other encampments, and it's just extremely creative and good. It seems like it's still coming out. I read all these issues, and then there was a pretty big break, and then they started coming out again, and so I have the last few, and I just, once again, haven't got around to rereading it. I'm kind of on the fence. It's like, do I reread all of these and then read the new ones? But they have this, these theme covers where every cover is a is a different kind of building. It's like a straight-on Wes Anderson type shot of the front. So pleasantly surprised with that series. That gets a high recommendation from Dan. Okay, on to the big one here that I read this week. So those I read a long time ago. This is one that I collected without reading it because I know I like this writer. This is Prodigy by Mark Millar. Now, the thing about Mark Millar is I really, really liked some of his older stuff. The things that got me the most would be Wanted, Kick-Ass, and Hit Girl, and Nemesis. Those would be the big four, I guess. Oh, and Jupiter's Legacy. So Jupiter's Legacy is the perfect example of why Mark Millar is kind of letting me down. He starts out, he's got this really cool idea. He's got one of the best artists in the world, Frank Quitely, and he puts out like 2 series with him, and then you're like, that's great, you're good, man. That's cool, great story, did well. And then a long time goes by to where you kind of forgot about it, and then another series comes out and you're like, whoa, it's back, that's surprising but great. And then there's a different artist on it and you're like, oh, this artist's not that good. Well, hopefully the story will carry it. The story's not that good either, but you know, you liked the original part, so you collect it, and then another series comes out and another series, and I have to say that series was such a letdown. So I mean, maybe I should have learned my lesson by now with this kind of stuff, but I still take a chance on most everything he does. It's, I guess, somewhat of a guilty pleasure reading because everything he does in some way involves something to do with superheroes or sci-fi-ish superhero stuff. It's always got some kind of fantastical element like that, and I'm not a huge superhero fan. Let's take a look at this cover for Prodigy #1. I'm gonna get out of the bag because this is an unbelievable cover. So Frank Quitely again. Why couldn't he have done the inside of that? Prodigy is about this guy here, and Edison Crane, and he is the world's smartest man. So here he is doing a death-defying stunt, jumping over something on a flaming motorcycle, and all the while he's still working on his laptop with the pencil behind his ear. He is able to keep all these different versions of his brain in his subconscious going at all times so he can figure out ridiculously crazy things like as other things are happening. So this first arc came out in December 2018. Rafael Albuquerque is the artist, and the art is pretty good. He was also the artist on Huck. And you know, here's Edison doing open heart surgery on another kid. Like they're supposed to be like having a play date, and they're really young, and he's taught himself how to do open heart surgery, and his parents had no idea he was even in there doing that. So he's kind of like world's biggest badass. Here he is doing one of those death-defying stunts, jumping over a canyon on some flaming motorcycle. People like pay to have him do these crazy stunts, and the money all goes to charity. So he's constantly giving to charity. He's like just like the perfect person. He's super smart, super talented, super strong, super everything, but he's not a superhero. He's just ridiculously smart. And you can imagine the kind of stories they could build with that in the realm of the Bond espionage kind of story. There's a badass shark cover for you right there. And this first series was great. I really dug it. There's your Raphael Grandpa variant for #4. The thing about it, that's, yeah, man, bam. Demonic shit rules. So the thing about this first series that was like, he's doing it again. Just make him a really smart guy. That's enough. That's enough. You can make great stories with just this one premise. But they had to bring in some otherworldly sci-fi kind of thing where there's some alien type people from some other parallel dimension trying to get into Earth, and like, it doesn't have to be sci-fi. It can just be what it is. The Icarus Society was the second volume. So I'm not saying this isn't good. I'm just saying there was elements of it that kind of bummed me out, like that one element. But the rest of the story was very good. The art was very good. And the second arc was great too. So this was Matteo Buffagni on artist. Buffagni, I don't know how to say it. It's a Bill Sienkiewicz variant though. Sweet Tiger. So this art still was pretty good. It's he just sort of has his style of artists now. He gets the same kinds of feels on his books, and sometimes it really works. Like the Magic Order had 6 volumes of that. I liked it start to finish. I mean, the last one could have been better since it was the last one. I wish they would have done a little something more with it, but I did like Magic Order, and every arc had a different artist. So I think what he does is he kind of like he starts this up. He's like, you're going to be on arc 1, you're going to be on arc 2, you're going to be on arc 3. Y'all get to work at the same time, so that way we can roll them out fairly soon after each other. Because he's also done the opposite, where he's started something, waited a really, really long time to come out with the next volume, to where you completely forgot about it. And luckily with those ones, he's tended to get the original artists back. So this one is more of like searching for some lost society. Oh, it's damn it, I should remember. I just read this. Pandora's Box is what they're searching for in this one. I think this is the one that has that. Anyway, I'm not going to go too into detail about it, but it is a good series. The third arc was the most disappointing one. The third arc brings in his long-lost missing brother, and could have been better. But yeah, Slaves of Mars. So this one is his father had been working on some project to colonize on Mars and use Mars to help out. So it's just some of the twists leave you kind of scratching your head like, did they need to do that? They didn't, they could have thought of maybe a better twist. He could have. But it's still a good series. The thing that drives me nuts though about him is he always has the final issue of everything he does is more expensive than the rest. And it's supposed to be a thicker issue, which it is, but it's not that much thicker. And I think it's just a marketing thing. It's like, we'll just shave a couple of pages off of the other issues, put them on the final issue, charge more for it. It's usually like $2 more for the final issue. So, it's like if somebody already is having a hard time paying $3.99 or $4.99, and then they have to pay $6.99, they're more likely to buy that expensive issue because it's the last one in the series, and they don't want to not know how it finishes, right? So I also have to say that his switch to Dark Horse was a bad move. I think he bought Dark Horse, but these Image ones all have really great paper stock, really good cover stock, great quality. And so Image for the first 2 arcs, then out of nowhere, it's Dark Horse with their really thin, meager paper. And then the prices all also went up to $4.99. Yeah, because they were still $3.99 on the first arc, $3.99 on the second arc. So Image has better quality and cheaper comics. Go Image. Speaking of Image, so some new things I just read. These are things I would read every month as they come out. This is the new Transformers. And this is the first issue that Robert Kirkman took over on. I got the Daniel Warren Johnson variant on that. And, nothing is as good as in this series as the first arc that Daniel Warren Johnson drew. But Jorge Corona did a pretty good job. I don't really know why he makes Megatron's face so squashed. But Kirkman was wise to start out this first issue of the new run with the same artist that had been on it for the last 18 issues or whatever. So that way it wasn't as jarring when they had to switch to the new guy. And they also have this whole sequence he draws be the Decepticons. I think it is kind of strange that he has this whole thing where he goes through and he says every single one of their names and gives them a ration of shit all individually. I think it's just a way of helping people maybe learn all of their names. It's like Daniel Warren Johnson never needed to tell you what all their names were like that. It just came out naturally over time. So this was a good sequence. And then you get your, like you'd have the Transformers cartoon. And you see the Dan Mora art. And I mean, I can't say I'm like a huge Dan Mora fan. I haven't read much of his stuff. The first thing I read where he got on my radar was the Klaus series that he did with Grant Morrison. It's like a weird takeoff on Santa Claus. But it seems fitting for this. It seems nice and clean compared to the really, really dirty style of the first two. So that's kind of a turnoff. But Kirkman's good. He knows what he's doing, and he keeps you going in the story. There's a pretty cool little scene where they find some of the old Transformers that have been lost for a long time down in this bunker. Boy, oh boy, I better hurry up here. All right, so there's Transformers. Kind of skip over this next one. This is Void Rivals, so same deal. Kirkman, EU universe. Void Rivals is pretty good, but it ain't no Walking Dead, that's for sure. Kaya, there's another one I read every week, every month when it comes out, like first thing. And I know Terrence and Rasa both already went through this issue in detail, but it is a really, really, really great issue. It's just pretty much all a fierce battle between Kaya and Jin as Jin is transformed into this beast, and just page after page of glorious art in incredible coloring, insane action. Just everything about this comic is fun and makes you want to keep reading it. I've thoroughly enjoyed this comic. So 2 thumbs up to Kaya. Keep going. Make it a nice long series. We're on number 30. It's getting long already. Here's an example of a newer comic that I bought that has been just sitting on the shelf for a while. Not for any reason other than I have a million comics to read, and I'm like, oh, that'll be nice to come back to at some point. Bowling with Corpses, Mike Mignola. This is awesome because it's, he doesn't do a lot of interior art, and you got this cool hardcover that is just tons of short stories. There's not even a table of contents. Of course, Dave Stewart on the coloring for it. It's, his typical, all influenced by folk tales. The whole thing is he wanted to make a comic where someone goes bowling with corpses. That was the whole impetus for starting this comic. And he does. On page 2 and 3, he finds these corpses and he goes bowling with them, with a skull for a bowling ball and bones for pins. And I'm not going to try to recollect all the different stuff that happens in this, but if you know Mike Mignola's art, you're going to like it. It's super Mignola-y. It's to me his stylizedness has only gotten more and more stylized over the years. So nothing wrong with that. You got your thing going. Keep doing it. Keep doing it for as long as you can. He said he was, in the back matter that he was like thinking of retiring and just can't do it. Can't stop wanting to draw. And I hope there's going to be more volumes of this. I think he made that pretty clear in the back. So there's a ton of stories. They're all very short. They're all fun. Not much more to say. Here's a stack of stuff that's not brand new or even slightly new. I've been reading these Catwoman issues that came after the Darwyn Cooke issues, so I'm enjoying those quite a bit. I might talk about that at another time. Here was a comic I got from Terrence that is Tor Love Betty. It's an Eros and Monster Comics team up, and it was a little disappointing just because it wasn't a full comic. It had a good long strip in the front. This is a great intro page right there. And the artist is really good. Mike Zakorsky, 1991. And it's, you know, Betty Page and this Tor, sort of weird, brainless kind of guy. But this first story has really great art, and I can't remember exactly what happens, but I really enjoyed this. And then it is 10 pages. That's a really good panel. And then the rest of it is almost all pinups. And there's some good ones, but I don't really want a pinup book. I want a comic. Oh, there's a couple other little short ones. This is written by Hilary Bard, I believe, and Mitch O'Connell on the art. And then there's this one Hilary Barda that this is kind of funny. It's just a one-pager, and Tor loved Betty. So he's thinking about Betty. It's like Betty Page, Betty Rubble, Betty Boop, Betty from Archie, Betty Crocker. Tor loved Betty. It's pretty funny. So anyways, that's about that. There's a few more cool pages, but so I also, you know, in between reading new comics, I will just dip into random boxes and just grab out something random. So I grabbed out this Crusades comic #1 from 2001, and it has art by Kelly Jones, written by Steven Siegel, and didn't really like it too much. It's not inked by Kelly Jones, so it's a little Kelly Jones-ish, but not full Kelly Jones beauty. Right away at the beginning of the comic, you see this crazy knight who's terrorizing the town and he's taking out bad guys, so he's not terrorizing, he's stopping terror. But it's weird. It takes place in modern times, and there's like this knight loose, and most of it is about this like schlock DJ guy. Oh, yeah. So and the main woman in the story is you know, secretly dating him. She's not supposed to, no one's supposed to know. This is one of the weirdest panels I think I've ever seen in a comic. So this guy's just talking, they're in a building, they're having this conversation. Kelly Jones loves to use these weird angles where you're looking up at these people, which is maybe more impactful for something that's not just people talking in an office and he's looking all sinister, even though nothing sinister is happening. Then all of a sudden, this bottom panel looks like it's out of Mad Magazine or something, and he's just like head back, looks like he's screaming and laughing with those lightning bolts. He's just talking about regular old shit, nothing even exciting. There's no reason for that image to be like that. And then it keeps going with like, there's one with him talking sideways from the top of the panel downward. I think Kelly Jones might have been smoking something while he made this comic. So yeah, just his art is so good for stuff like Batman. So I don't know, just the talking heads kind of thing really is where he should be putting his efforts. It's another Bill Sienkiewicz cover. I got this comic, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like a old Knights in Armor Crusade story by Kelly Jones. Cool. I didn't realize there was a Golden Gate Bridge in the background. I was like, oh, takes place in San Francisco. Here is an awesome comic. Man, oh man, this is sweet. Courtesy of Daryl D. Got this awesome haul from him, as you guys may have seen the video of. And this comic from 1969, this Heroes Inc., is really great. It has Ditko and Wood on the first strip with Cannon. This was probably the best one, to my knowledge. Maybe not. Maybe one of the other ones was better. But yeah, it's just fun action. So the premise of this, in case you guys want to know, this is what I thought was really cool about it. Okay, let's see if I can find it here. They captured Cannon. Is captured by the Reds while on a spy plane flight. They gave him the most complete brainwashing ever done. He was returned to the States with the assignment of assassinating top scientists. Kill, kill, kill. But fortunately, his photo had been circulated among all the government agents, and he was spotted by CIA men. They're beating him up. All attempts to undo the brainwashing were useless. It was too complete. Only one thing left to do. Go all the way. They got him strapped in. A daring experiment, total reconditioning, was attempted and succeeded. It produced something more and less than human. A man with no emotions. Forgive us, Cannon. There he is, getting brainwashed into something less than human. More Voss. Yeah, okay. So anyway, he's just emotionless. Like, send him in for the toughest missions ever. And, you know, the whole strip is just him going on this crazy mission, and there are all these bad guys, and they're supposed to have a big team to help out, and he just takes care of all of them himself, like a true badass. Gets the girl in the end. It's great. Then we got Ralph Reese inking Wally Wood for this Misfit story. This was a really good one too. Just incredibly beautiful art on this. This one has a character, it's kind of like Hulk meets concrete in a way. It's interesting. Look at that sweet panel right there. And yeah, the last one, Dragonella, is script by Ron White and Wally Wood, but this is all Wally Wood art, but it's all cartoony. And this is kind of funny, but not the absolute best. But it was, you know, it was very humorous. I just love stuff like this. I love old comics, and that was a total winner. I guess there was one more issue. This was the first issue, 1969, and there was an issue in the 70s at some point. So I also started dipping into the heavy metal that I got from Daryl. I started reading the issue number 2, which is amazing. So, you know, I'm not going to go through too much of it, but I think that first one is Tardy. And then you got Drule and Alexis on this beautiful story right here. And you got some Von Baudet. This one didn't do too much for me, honestly. The dialogue just was kind of annoying. Didn't really go anywhere. And then I read Agorn by Drule. This was the best art of the bunch right here. Fucking A, man. Look at that. God damn, that's so good. I wish all comics looked like this. Look at this thing. Holy shit. Wow. So you know what you're getting into with heavy metal, but I don't know. I'm just starting to make these videos, so this is what people do. They show off stuff. And I left off right where the Den story starts. I've read that, but it's going to be super fun to read it in this old issue. So here's one I have that's like a work in progress. So I got this Worlds of Sam Kieth hardcover quite a while back, and I looked through all the art, and then I started to read it, and I read like half of it, and for some reason I forgot to finish reading it. I found it on the shelf. I was like, oh, I got to finish that book. So I've been reading it. I'm halfway through it again, and it is an art book that's extremely beautiful and has all kinds of really cool Sam Kieth art, both scans and also photographs that he takes of his artwork and shows them from different angles, and he can get some really cool like different looks at some of the art by photographing it, and even the editor Scott Dunbier was like, your image, your little photos are actually better than some of the scans. So what this book does is it shows his art, but it also has stuff that he writes about each page, which I think is really cool. It even has some parts where his mom tells some stories about him when he was a kid. here's an example of one that you can see. He really liked the way this eye came out, and showing this this other image here in multiple shots to get kind of a different effect, shooting the image from an angle to get a different shot. So like here's his mom with him as a baby and talking about him as a child. There's very cool parts where she talks about his childhood. Here's one where he did some photographs and scanning and changed the color on it, this geisha image. So if you like Sam Kieth, this is a super good book. You should definitely track it down. A lot of what is in here is about his My Inner Bimbo series. So there's a lot of process stuff behind that. And I was going to wait to show any of this off until I finished the whole thing. I just came across something I really wanted to share that I think is rad. Too much computer time? Yeah, I'll say, man. Whoa, that's quite the pile you made there. So let's see if I can find it. So Sam Kieth, you know, of course, does commissions. Oh, this is incredible. This is a painting he did on the outside of a sketchbook that's made out of leather. And it says, this is the cover of a sketchbook. I pasted down a piece of leather I weathered, then carved the vase shape out of the leather with a knife. Neither watercolor nor acrylic would take to the surface, so I used ink from stamp pads and sealed it with a fixative. So far, so good. So Sam does commissions and things of that nature, and he did one for friends of mine for their band. So I'm really good friends with this band that's no longer active, but the members are in other projects, and it's called Giant Squid. So my old band played a lot of shows with Giant Squid and did some small tours with them. We did a lot of tours with small tours with them and our other friends in the band called Helms Ali from Seattle. So Sam Kieth was commissioned to do the cover art from their album, The Ichthyologist. There were 2 releases of this album, and one of them has Sam Kieth's art. That is the front cover image from it. And my friend Aaron actually designed the idea of the hand with the eyeballs, and Sam and him knew each other from Sacramento. Giant Squid was kind of half based in Sacramento, half Bay Area. So he originally had drawn this one image of a chameleon, and then Aaron had him change it to a frog. So you can see like the before and after of that. There's a bunch of the processed stuff for the other art I'm going to show in a second. Some notes that he had about, notes about like what to do with the shape of the hand and stuff like that. And then the inside of the album has this nice looking swamp sequence, and that's the gatefold. So check out Giant Squid. They're absolutely great. Aaron's all the members of Giant Squid that were still around formed a band called Squalus as well. That's every song from Squalus is direct. All the lyrics are direct quotes from the book or movie of Jaws. Pretty awesome. All right, last thing up here. So for those of you who stayed to the end and you want some bloody stuff, Creepshow is a newer anthology from Image that I've been getting. I read this first volume a little while back, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's 3 or 4 different anthologies going right now, and I rank Creepshow as number 1. This has been the best one so far. Hello Darkness from Boom would be my number 2, and then I think there is a good number 3. I can't remember it, but I know the new Oni EC stuff would definitely be at the bottom of the list. I've dropped those, they just consistently let me down. But whereas Hello Darkness and the EC stuff has like 3 to 5 stories per issue, these just have 2. So it's great because you get of an anthology, but there's more pages available for people to do their thing. So this first issue of Volume 1 has Chris Burnham art. And there's other people. I'm just going to kind of name the ones that stand out to me. Second one has David Lapham. Again, mentioning David Lapham. I don't understand how this is happening. Creepshow number 3, variant cover, Francavilla. So this has got Francavilla interiors as well. This Chris Burnham cover here has Kyle Starks, who's awesome. Danny, I like that artist. And then there's a sweet variant from Kelly Jones on number 5. I mean, that's what you want from Kelly Jones right there. So this is once again one of those ones where I bought it, read some, loved it, was like, I'm just going to keep getting it. So I've got all of them. And I started in on the second volume recently, with the best story by far being from the first issue, because it's got my man Garth Ennis on the very first story from volume 2. Now, let's just give the not safe for work warning. I won't spoil the whole thing, but I kind of want to, but it's just so gnarly. Holy crap. When it comes to doing a horror story, and Garth Ennis goes for it, what I really appreciate about it is he thinks of something that would actually terrify you in real life and makes a story about that, or some kind of twist on a reprehensible person, that people in this world that actually exist, that I personally would not agree with their beliefs, and he has very strong beliefs, especially with things regarding religion and ethical things. So this is what we're getting into here. He did the same thing for his story in the Hello Darkness anthology, which also I believe was Becky Cloonan, and that was about, like, if there was an apocalypse and the wars that are going on in our world actually escalated to nukes, like what that actually really looks like for people and what that would cause people to do. And we're not talking like your typical survival story. We're talking like really what would happen. Like, it's so well done. So the premise of this right off the start is going to make you either love this or want to turn off this comic instantly. Family at home, wife's cooking, hearing some grunting sounds coming from the bathroom. Father's upstairs, taking a shit, straining. I gotta lay off the barbecue. And he takes a shit, and what do you know? It's a fetus. It's a dead fetus. God all fucking mighty. He's a religious man, and he just used the Lord's name in vain, and he pukes in the bathtub because he's so grossed out that he just shit up a fetus. And what did he shit or puke into the bathtub? Another one. And the fetuses keep saying, feed me, clothe me, raise me. So, wow. Yeah. He is driving, and he sneezes on the steering wheel, and what comes out in his boogers? Another one stuck to the steering wheel. Shit! Here we go again with, he sharts when he's out at dinner with his buddies. Fart, whoops. Takes down his pants in the bathroom. Another one. So this is a church-going man that is pro-life. So for a pro-lifer, what would be the worst thing to happen to you? Sneezing or burping up a fetus onto your Bible. So I'll give you the next one just because, you know, it just gets, now it just goes over the top, and there's just a whole wall of them. So what happens at the end is just too perfect, because I don't want to offend people, but I mean, I'm pro-choice, and this is about hypocrisy, and it's also about, I don't even want to say the words, it's about molestation and incest. And so the ending is just unreal. If that appeals to you, get it. It's a banger. Fossil Record is the second story in this one. This is Phil Hester. It's great art. This was a really good story. So this is a long video. I'm just going to kind of blast through this last little bit, and then I don't know if anyone will ever watch this far in anyways, but I'm having fun sitting here showing off comics. That's an awesome comic. We just had Halloween, so there's this is Michael Walsh of the interiors. This is Gilliam March on the cover. So Michael Walsh story was really, really good as well. Once again, what is a terrifying thing in real life? Having a father who's a drunk, who the mom runs out on him, and he has to work night shift, and he just leaves the kid home all night to sit here in front of the TV. So the kid's just becoming a zombie. The dad's not feeding him right. He's just like, go get some cereal. And the kid's just becoming a zombie, sitting in front of the couch, in front of the tube. And his father is just an absolute horrible, reprehensible person. And then this magical man comes out of the TV one night and does something totally horrific to the kid. So I won't spoil that. But all of these stories are just great. This next artist, Abigail Larson, I was not familiar with. Her art was okay. That story wasn't maybe as good. It seems like there's the 2 stories in each issue. It's always the first story that's better. I mean, that's how they do things. There's a lot of talk about that with that Batman, Absolute Batman annual, about, if they put the other story first, would it have gotten as much flack for being not as good? But I don't know. I think it makes sense. This one is a pretty sweet cover, bowling with a head. This one has Zoe Thorogood on the first story. She did the art for that comic Rain that Joe Hill wrote. I really did dig that comic. And so this is a really fascinating one because this is an apocalyptic world kind of thing too. And she's experimented on herself and given herself immortality, basically. So she has to go through life, she's got these various lovers throughout time, and she pulls out her eye just as a reminder to never be tricked by that nectar of love again, so make herself more hideous. At one point, there's a plague of locusts, and they all burrow into her arm and eat her arm, and she gets burned at the stake, but she just keeps on living. So that's a really great premise in general, but she rips out her own heart. Look at that. Really cool. This next one wasn't as good, but Goran Sudzuka, Goran Sudzuka does the art for this one, and his art is very nice. Last thing here, I haven't finished. I got 2 more issues for this series to go, but in between issues 3 and 4, there was a holiday special that came out. I got this super sick Wayshak variant. Get that out of there. So I love a good Christmas comic. I also love a good Christmas horror comic. So this first story is drawn by Wayshak, written by Daniel Kraus, Christmas Man. And they make up this fable to scare the little girl. There's the 3 brute brothers there watching TV on Christmas, telling the girl to go to bed, telling her Santa's not real and all this stuff like that. They're just having fun with her. And so they make up this story about, have you ever heard of Christmas Man? Christmas Man, who's that? Well, he's like Bigfoot. That's right. He's the abominable snowman of the North Pole, and he really, really, really hates Santa. Why does he hate Santa? See all this white stuff? That's fur from Christmas Man's family. Santa lines all his clothing with it. So the white part on the Santa cap is supposed to be made out of Christmas Man's fur. Christmas Man wants to eat Santa, but Santa's a pussy and hides in his workshop all year. And he goes on and on about stuff, and he says Christmas Man chases Santa on foot, chases him all over the world. That's why he goes out with his toys. And he's hungry for Santa Claus's blood, which is sugary because of all the cookies. And how can Christmas Man run so fast? He said that's why he needs stockings. So the stockings are to help him run, all because of running in that snow is too brutal. And he said, why do you think the stockings are shaped so weird? It's because he has lost all his toes to frostbite. There's these cool illustrations that are supposed to be like her drawings of Christmas Man, and they just keep scaring her. And then Of course, you know what's got to happen. Christmas man's real. He comes, he rips off all their feet, all their toes, and desecrates them at the end. And you get one great shot of him. So, kind of spoiled that one, but whatever. Hour and 14 minutes in. And then this last one, Package Thieves, was just, not too much. So, there's another long video. So, for anyone who watched it, thank you. That was really nice of you to do that. I'm not really expecting to get a lot of views, but I just like talking about comics and sharing this with people. So thank you so much again. And I do have some cool ideas for some videos coming up very soon. So I'm going to be putting some stuff together, and I'll see you guys again soon. Thanks again.